Hi guys, and welcome back to this week's video. Now this week, you may notice we're back down the workshop again. And that's because we're going to make the biggest visual upgrade to this car, bar the massive roof tent, granted. So this week, I'm going to show you how to refurb a set of wheels that we're going to put on the Mini. Sit down, grab a cuppa, and let's crack on. But first, I do have to say a big thank you to Lee and Chelsea from Tango Adventures. Now, those guys, we met at Vanlife once, and they very kindly offered to pick up a set of wheels that we saw for sale in London, because the wheels we put on the Mini only cost us £35. That didn't include tyres, but that's what we paid for the rims. So, let's crack on with the video, and let's get these wheels on the Mini. These are the wheels we've decided to go for. So they are factory Mini Steels, with a Toyo Open Country with a 235/70 16 tyre. So coming down 2 inches on diameter of the wheel, but going up a considerable amount on the tyre size. So hopefully that should give us a good bit of clearance. They do fit, which is the key thing here. They do fit, but yeah, hopefully it should just give us a bit of protection. I know a lot of people expect us to go for alloy wheels, but we've ended up going for Steelies. And this is purely because if you hit one quite hard, you can just beat it back and hopefully reseat the tyre. Whereas an alloy is more likely to crack, which, yeah, I'd rather be able to fix it if I do something stupid to it. Hopefully not though. It's now time for everyone's favourite pastime, and that is prep. As you can see here, I'm keying down the wheels with green Scotch-Brite. Now we didn't have to go too hard with this, because the wheels were already in pretty decent condition. The next step is blowing it down with an airline, paying special attention to the seam that goes between the face and the rim of the steel wheel. But now that we've got them all rubbed down, they've all been cleaned and they're ready to be hit with primer. Now the factory powder coat on here is pretty good, they're in pretty decent condition, so what we're going to do is just hit the spots that have got down to metal, and then we can just blast the Raptor paint straight over the top because it's all been keyed. So let's get on with that now. So what I'm doing now is, because annoyingly I've got this tyre on, which is my own doing, to test fit, we need to cover it in soap. Now this is an old trick to stop paint sticking to tyres. I've used it a few times and it's worked quite successfully, generally with car shampoo, because it's got waxes in. You do just have to be careful not to get it on the rim, otherwise obviously the paint will not stick to it. So let's get this rubbed in and then we can start priming. Now again, make sure it's clean. I touched this wheel, so I'm just going to give it a quick wipe over, which should then resolve the issue. Okay, so first coat of primer is on, and to be honest, because of how clean they were, they're looking pretty smart. But now, while we wait for the primer to dry, I think I'm going to tackle the workshop, because to be honest, it's a bit of a shithole. So I think while that dries, I'm going to get in here, tidied up after doing the cabinet and the boot, and then we'll pick back up, we'll get the paint mixed, and we'll get them sprayed. Hoping to do probably 2 to 3 coats, I think, should be enough. They're wheels, I intend to scratch them. Let's see how they come out. I don't know if you can tell that it looks much different, but about an hour has passed, and yeah, I think it's looking a bit better. I actually know where things are, and more stuff's on shelves, and there's floor available, and wood's in place. But now that that's done, I think the wheels are about dry enough that we can start mixing up the colour and getting it on. But first, let's show you what we're going to use. Starting in the middle, you've got your colour. So this is black Raptor liner. Now if nobody's seen this, it is bed liner in America, I guess is what it gets sold as. But it's a really hard wearing textured finish. This is the hardener that goes with this. obviously it's a two-part paint, so use a hardener to make it set, and then to thin it enough to go through the gun, you have to use what's called a paint thinners. Now essentially what this does is water this down, so I think we put in about a 25% dilution, so you mix these two together and then add another quarter of whatever's in the cup of this. That then makes it thin enough to spray through the paint gun. So this is the paint gun that we use. Now this is just a very cheap eBay one. The same one we used to do the roof rack, and the same one we used to do the cupboards. I've had good results with it. John from True Blue uses it as well. That's where I got the recommendation from. Give it a good mix, puncture the top, and then what we're looking for is a 1 to 3 mix. So we'll have 3 parts of the colour. So if we go something like that, and then 1 part hardener. So I'm going to go with roughly about that. Then I need to find a little stick to stir it with. So I've just got a wasted bit of ply. So all you do is just give that a good stir. So the downside I've got is I don't actually have any mixing cups, proper ones. So obviously this is quite small. Usually a mixing cup would be kind of much taller. Because by the time I put thinners in this, it's going to be, yeah, pretty much at the top. I mean, it says in the manual for this, put a 15 to 20% thinner in it. So just add paint thinners in. You can see what I mean. That puts us kind of right at the top of the cup. So just mix that in slowly. You can feel it as well in the cup. It starts to soften. So you can start to feel it now. Thin out a little bit. Just keep stirring. Okay, so there's some that was quite thick still in the cup. Whoops. All I've done is just put some thinners in there, which has cleaned out the cup just that bit more. Let's give it a good stir in there. Right, so now you've got a full cup ready to paint. So what we do then, just put the lid back on, like that, and then you've got your paint gun ready to go. So let's get the airline connected up, get you positioned, get painting. Let's go. So that's coat number 1 done. Now it came out pretty successfully. I'm very happy with it. So far we don't look to have any reactions or fish eyes or anything like that in the paint, which is great. Because it's a much bigger surface area than say the roof rack, the coverage is going on really well. So I think what I'm probably going to do is probably 3 coats. I'll overlay some bits over this so you can see after the first coat how it's looking. But yeah, quite happy with how it's come out. Again, only sort of 3rd time spraying, but I had a good base to start with because the wheels were in really good condition, really, other than some slight corrosion underneath the original wheel weights. So yeah, not very much prep, but all keyed down and now looking pretty decent as they're flashing off, which I enjoy this sort of stuff the more I'm sort of getting into it. We're probably going to paint these and then leave it about 2 to probably 3 days, because obviously the mounting the tyres is quite you sort of lever them over. If anyone's ever seen tyres fitted, then you'll understand what I mean. The paint needs to be hard. So what we'll probably do is come down here later this week, probably Wednesday, Thursday, today's Sunday, and get the wheels and tyres all mounted up and get them on the car, and then we can show you guys what they look like. But for now, we've got another 5 minutes left on these till they flash off, and then we can crack on with coat number 2. Coat number 3. Let's get on with it. That is now all 3/4 coats. I had a little bit left in the gun, so I just sort of threw it over the top of them, not literally. 3 coats, first dust coat, 2 heavy coats, and then there was a 4th sort of dust coat from a height, which you probably saw. And that just basically gives it a nice bit of extra texture. If you move further away, you get more of the particle landing rather than the paint settling, is kind of the best way I can describe it. We'll see you guys in 3 days. But for now, I'll leave you with a nice little montage to see what the wheels look like. Now again, when you wash your gun out, a little bit of thinners just in the bottom of it. You can see that running around. And all you do, I'm just going to do it onto the floor. You can see it coming out. So you can see that coming out the bottom. Now basically run that through until it goes completely clear. And then you know that there's no paint left in the filter or in the trigger or anything like that. The system is completely clean through. So next time you come to use it, you just pull that thinners out, put your paint in, and off you go. So we will leave you for probably about 3 days, if not a little bit more. I'm going to leave them as long as possible, still making it reasonable to edit this video. And then we'll come back down and we'll get all the tyres back on and get them mounted on the car, because I can't wait to see what they're going to look like.
So, you've not seen me much, but tonight I am joining Alex at the workshop because the wheels should be dry, fingers crossed, and all cured so we can get the tyres fitted. And I must say, I think Alex has done a proper splendid job here. They are looking really good. I'm really pleased with these. We haven't used a tyre fitter before, so this could be an interesting one, guys.
Now this belongs to Tom. Tom is a proper mechanic and fully trained. I'm an idiot who has access to proper mechanics tools, right? So this is the first time I'm ever using a tyre machine. Never done it before. Let's see if we can get these mounted up without damaging the wheels. So ultimately what you've got to do is get one bead on first, and you use tyre soap up here to help the bead slip over, and then you have to get the other side on. Now you have this big arm here, which if I press, that comes forward. Now what this does is drop down and push in between the wheel and the tyre at an angle, and then you press this button, which spins it, and that basically rides the tyre across these and allows it to push down underneath the bead. So we've got a valve in, and I've got the valve core here. So let's get this in and crack on. that is now all 4 tyres mounted up. And to be honest, that kind of went better than I thought it would. I had to do a little bit of Googling, because at first I couldn't quite get the shoe, which is the bottom bit that pushes the tyre in, on that arm that we showed you earlier. Couldn't quite get that in the right position. Once I figured out where that went, they went on like a breeze. So I know a lot of people are probably wondering, first time doing tyres, have you damaged them? Now, for the most part, no. The first one, yes. I've done the smallest nick along the edge in 2 places. So all I'll probably do is use a little bit of a cheeky trick, which is a Sharpie, because let's face it, they're probably going to get damaged again anyway when we take it off-road. So there's no point getting too precious about the tyres. But overall, I think that was a fairly simple-ish job. Now I know anyone that's watching this that's done tyres or has mechanical knowledge is thinking, you haven't balanced those. And the answer is, no, I have not. I want to double check that they all fit before I waste my time balancing them. Balance them is a fairly easy thing. Now if people aren't aware of what balancing a wheel is, when you take your tyres to be fitted, you have the tyre fitted and you have it balanced. It's a 2-stage process. And what that essentially does is when the wheel's spinning at 60 mile an hour, it stops you getting shudder through the steering wheel. So if you've ever had shudder through the steering wheel above sort of 50 mile an hour, that's what we're causing. But generally, it's either uneven tyre wear or there's weights that are not in the right place. Because although they look perfectly round, wheels can be buckled, tyres are not all made equal. Cheaper tyres aren't as round as some of the expensive ones like Pirelli and Bridgestone and companies like that. It's time to get them on the car and see if my calculations are correct or if in fact I've f***ed up. So let's get the car on the lift, get it in the air and get the wheels all swapped over. We've got all 4 on, as you can see, they're on. The front ones, beautiful. Step over to the rear. Now they're hitting what is essentially a rain guard there. I'm hoping when you look at that when it goes down onto the floor and takes up weight, that wheel's going to shift up, which means the widest point of the wheel is no longer going to be right where that rain guard is. So fingers crossed, when we drop it down, the rear should fit. There's loads of space at the back, but the fronts sit quite close. So yeah, let's get it on the ground and see how it looks. It's down on the ground. The rears now have space at the front where the rain guards are. So I think we pull it outside and see what it looks like. The Mini is on the ground, and other than some rubbing at full lock in reverse, all the forward gears work fine. The way I see it, that's a win. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Next week, we'll finally get to use the damn thing. So we're going to stay local at first, we'll get the wheels balanced now that they fit properly, and we'll crack on with staying in the roof tent for the first time. So thanks guys for following along with this project. We've really enjoyed doing it. We hope you guys have enjoyed watching it. And yeah, follow us along and see what we get up to with the Mini next. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.